Coming up, I built the biggest building I've ever built, and this epic building contains a create mod farm that you've never built. I also build a fully functional drawbridge as well as a very secure vault door. Let's create. Over the last few episodes, I've been working on my Command & Conquer inspired mega base here in the desert. Yes, the desert. The desert that now has a giant sand spider that harvests sand from the desert to drop it off on that big sand pile, which is then collected by this truck, which then brings it into the mega base in order to be distributed around by these smaller trucks in order to generate a whole bunch of different materials. But one material that it's not generating very much of, or none at all, is zinc. And I need a lot of zinc, which is why in the last episode I spent an awful lot of time designing a charged creeper farm to generate a whole bunch of zinc, using Tesla coils and hypertubes. And that may have involved making a few minor tweaks to the Create Crafts and Additions mod in order to make the Tesla coils work in a more Command & Conquer type fashion. But as a result, the farm that's going to be sitting right there will generate charged creepers faster than you can say kaboom! So let's go take a look at it. This is not the final form of the farm, but it does work incredibly well, generating a whole bunch of charged creepers, sending them up these hypertubes to this killing station where they are then harvested for their heads. But this isn't the final form of the farm. It will change a little bit during today's build process, and of course it only exists in this creative copy of the world. So today I'm going to be building a version of this in my survival world, as well as designing and building a giant mega structure to disguise it and make it truly fit in with this amazing industrial compound we've got right near it. But in order to build it over the ocean, where I've decided to build it, I'm going to need to do a bunch of terraforming, as well as perhaps designing a functioning drawbridge and perhaps even an automatic vault door. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First of all, I need mega torches. Mega torches like this one here are designed to prevent mobs spawning within a 64 block by 64 block radius, which is a square not a circle around it, as well as upwards as well. And apparently, according to my comments, if I click the top of it, it'll show me the radius of this, but I don't think that's a thing. No, it doesn't work. I think that's from the actual Mega Torch mod, whereas this is the Torchmaster mod. So in order for me to see the range, I need to use the Mini HUD mod, and then I can set up the right boxes in the right places, press the H button on my keyboard, and then that will show me an entire area of where this thing will prevent mobs from spawning. And as you can see, each Mega Torch area is absolutely huge. So we don't need many of them to prevent mobs spawning around this thing, but we do need to put them in locations where they're not going to overlap with the farm so that creepers can only spawn in there. And as you can see in this test world, I've got that one down there, I've also got another one in that corner, another one there, another one in that corner, and they go all the way round, and there's even one right underneath, preventing mobs from spawning below it as well. So let's go and make some. The recipe for mega torches isn't too bad. It is quite expensive on gold, not so bad for diamonds, and of course it's then just torches and wood. And I've got loads of all those things. I've got plenty of blocks of gold, I've got quite a few diamonds, I've got millions of torches, and I've got a fair amount of wood. And I only need 9 of these things, but I'm going to build 10, because I actually want one of them at this mega base, preventing mobs from spawning in this area, because every time I go outside, this area is normally full of husks and creepers and spiders, because I always forget to sleep. So I'm going to go down into my basement so it's not visible above me, come to somewhere roughly in the center of this, and for now I'm just going to pop that down there, and that should stop anything from spawning around my base area, which is lovely. And now I just need to figure out exactly where the rest of them are going to be going. But in order to place these around where the farm's going to be, I kind of need to know where the farm's going to be, and because this is not my test world anymore, I don't really know where that is. So I guess I'm going to have to do a bit of guessing. For that, I'm going to enable chunk grid so that I can see where the chunks are, and I'm going to then pick a spot where I know my farm's going to be, or where I think my farm's going to be, and I have chunk aligned it, so if I was to have the actual spawning part of the farm here above this stuff, then I know that this is the chunk I need to leave free with my mega torches to allow mobs to spawn. So I'm going to go over here where I know I need at least one of them, pop it down, and then set to work sorting out my little box shapes so I know where they're all going. And there we go! I've now added all 9 torches all the way surrounding where I need to be, and if I enable the rendering, you can see that this chunk right in the middle of all of them is perfectly free. Mobs can spawn here, which of course is a problem if they're spawning down below this farm or underground. So now what I need to do is go below the ground a decent distance to stop anything from spawning until it's at the point where my farm's going to be, and I'm going to call that sea level. So we basically just need to go down about 128 blocks. For this, if I enable my mini-map, I can actually get the Y coordinates that I'm digging down to, as well as potentially spotting if I'm going to end up in any lava. And I don't need to go down 128 blocks at all, I need to go down 64 blocks, which is around about here, because I believe that sea level is at Y62. I'm going to put it down and see what happens. We'll call this torch bottom, we're going to set here. Now I actually need to do that a block below where I am because I'm standing on top of the torch. Then I just need to shift click these 8 times, shift right click these 8 times. And let's make this one easy to see. We'll make it red, enable the rendering, and now I've no idea if it's in the right place, and I don't want to try and get all the way back up there because it's too high for my jetpack before I've checked this. So I think it's time for a bit of cheaty free cam. And my goodness me, the world looks like sick now. Oh, hello, creeper. We should see if I get up here that this red line should stop perfectly at sea level. It does, look at that. Doesn't go any higher than sea level. Oh, I did it perfectly. You can't see it though because there's water there, but if I go just below, you can see the top of it just. It worked! I'm just going to get out of here now, which is going to be a problem because I can't fly up more than like 30-something blocks. Yeah, I'm stuck here. This is the highest I can. Oh, and there's a skeleton. Of course there is. Stop it, skeleton. You're going in my yellow bin. And now we have a perfectly mob spawn proof little bit of area where we can build that farm. But like I said, that farm's going to change slightly and I need to design a... jeez, thank you. I thought I was safe here. You lunatic. Yes, I need to design a mega structure. The biggest structure I'm ever gonna build in this world because it's gonna be massive and it needs to have a homage to Command and Conquer and all of the things it's gonna be doing. So I'm going to be popping myself into a creative world now to get this thing designed, and I've got a feeling it's going to take a while.
Unstable situation on the ground that is unfolding very quickly.
Move toward more ideas that will actually help bring this thing to an end.
Oh my goodness, that did take a while. Almost 5 hours. Building in creative. Jeez, and it's because this thing is just absolutely massive. And yes, we've got a big old Tesla coil on top where the creepers get funneled up by the hypertubes into the very top part and dealt with. First of all, let's just check out what I've actually built around the building. Of course, at the moment, it's just floating in the water, which is not ideal. This is going to need to be raised up slightly on the real world so that we can add a foundation under it and terraform it into the ocean. And I would like to have a drawbridge that lifts up across here and then connect it to the base over here. I would also like to have a massive vault door on here that automatically opens as we come close. And yes, this thing has got 4 doors. It's got 3 more around the other sides, but they're just blocked off. They're not going to do anything. They were just sort of there to add to the design. The front part of this is sort of mimicking what we've got going on with our barracks to sort of keep it in keeping with the rest of the design. whereas the square structure is full of girders and shafts and little girder angle brackets and all that sort of good stuff. Again, taking some inspiration from the other things we've built around the base. Heading inside, we've got a huge amount of space in the middle, which we could put some form of interesting structure or decoration at some point, and I've added some staircases heading up so we can go to each different layer of the farm. In terms of the internals, I've actually added shafts between all of these copper-looking blocks in order to give it sort of an airy feel. I wanted it to feel quite open and almost breezy so the wind could blow through. I'm not sure why I wanted to do that, but it just kind of felt right as I was building it. Anyway, to make this place look a little bit more interesting, I have added in a glass floor so we can see down into the ocean. I'm sure we can do something with that at some point, and as we head up the stairs, you'll see that we can get to each of the individual levels. This takes us to the first level of the creeper farm, and if we head all the way around the back, I've then added in stairs allowing us to get to all of the different floors individually. We can go up there, then we can turn around and go up there, and then we can turn around and go up there, and then we can turn around and go up there, and eventually we get to the top where we've got our big Tesla coil. Yes, because this farm uses Tesla coils to charge the creepers, I thought it was only fair that we stuck a huge one on top of this thing, and in order to get in there we need to go through the front here, which takes us inside. And yes, we've got creative motors, because of course I'm going to need to connect this to my base's power. We can't use those in the real world, but if I hop underneath this hypertube here and sneak, I end up in the second Tesla coil ring. I'm in this one here. I completely skipped past this one and ended up in here. There's absolutely nothing in this one at all. It's just dead space, but we will be using this later. This is where the drops from our creepers will come down and flow into these chests, which is subject to change. And in order to get to the next level, because we've got the creeper killing platform right in the center, we've actually got to go outside of the rings onto this here, and then we can carry on up that ladder into where the creepers are going to be killed, which is right here, and they're going to be killed by that deployer with a sword as they eject from those hypertubes here. But since changing it all and updating it, I haven't checked it, so I should probably do that. So let's turn on mob spawning, and let's see if we actually get any creepers in here. And I should probably go in survival as well to make sure that they're not going to actually explode, because these are going to be charged creepers coming up here. And there we go, we've got one already. And no, it didn't explode with me in survival. It just died. Oh, and here's some more. Hey guys, hey, you're not charged. Perhaps some of my Tesla coils are not fully lit, but yeah, I thought this might happen. I thought we might end up with some getting stuck in the roof, which means I do need to make a few changes. So let's just hop back into creative, delete a couple of these blocks up here, which do have slabs above them. And now they're kind of just sitting on the edge, which isn't ideal. Perhaps what I need to do is just bring these blocks across one more. Get out the way. There we go. I put one there and there, and there and there. Hopefully that won't happen now. And yes, I can see them coming through the top tube, and they're not getting stuck in there, which is wonderful. Now, how did you get stuck? You sneaky! I guess you just get pushed in eventually. But yes, it works. The creepers are dying. And hopefully if we go back down this ladder and back into the storage system, we should see we're gathering a whole bunch of stuff already. Not many charged creeper heads though. Why are we not getting any charged creeper heads? Mildly concerning. Can't open that chest because I put a block above it. Oh, they're all in. They're just filtering down because they're going through hoppers. We're getting plenty of charged creeper heads. In that case, it works perfectly. So now all I've got to do is build this thing in survival, which of course, because it is such a huge building, I am going to be using the schematic cannon, but that does still mean I've got to collect an absolutely ridiculous amount of resources, as well as making even more machines in my basement. And that's because I'm going to need a lot of resources. And some of these blocks, like the alternators, can't be crafted on a crafting table. Now, I do have a big old auto crafter set up at my initial base, but we're at my new base. I need to build one here, which means I need to head over to my original base and remove the one there because it's no longer required over there. That means it's time for a journey on my epic train with no carriages, and I would like to go to the farm station, please, man. I love this train, even if it is a little bit glitchy, but we shouldn't worry about that too much. At least the man doesn't have a flywheel hitting him in the... Anyway, we're here. We're arriving at our destination. So let's pop off the train, head down into my original basement, And this is what we need. This big old Autocrafter here, we can just steal this, take it to where we're going, and build it all over again. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of food going through my farm. Oh, I guess my farm has been very busy, as it's full now, so literally everything coming through it is being turned into bone meal, I believe. We got a lot of food. Geez, 22,000 sweet berries, nearly 19,000 onions, 17,000 potatoes. Geez, this farm worked very well. But I'm not here to look at a farm. It's time for us to go back on the train and head back to the place we've just come from. And here we are, arriving back at the desert. Thank you very much, man. It's time for me to hop off and go and build an Autocrafter. And I'm going to build it in my basement near the things that I built last time. So we're going to need an output barrel. We'll point this one going into that. We'll have 3 at the bottom. Then we'll go up 3 more, 3 more, and then 3 more. 3 along the sides pointing into those ones. 3 along the sides pointing into those ones. And that should give us enough crafting for the things we need. So just sneak around the back here, stick that there where we got some power coming over here. Of course, in my usual fashion, I need to make it all look rather snazzy. And now we have our Autocrafter set up in the basement. All we need to do is stick a button on the chest to activate it when we want it to start going. And take a look at these recipes. Alternators. An alternator needs lots of sheet, copper spools, iron rods and capacitors. But I'm pretty sure I've made these before and not used them. I've got 1 and 8 motors. But I had the bits to use them as well. Although I'm pretty sure they're back at our starter base as well. And back here once again, I believe I left that stuff in this chest here. Yes, look, we've got those, we've got those, we've got those, we've got all sorts of things here that's going to come in very handy today. I don't need a bell, but the gold rod could be handy. Got another schematic cannon there. Yeah, empty spools will be useful. Very handy. And I'm also going to take this rolling mill because that's going to come in handy as well. And I think that's the recipe. So if I press the button, we should hopefully get ourselves, yes we did, an alternator. And I only need 2, which is wonderful because that's what I've got now. Is there anything else I need to make on this crafter? Yes. I need to make Tesla coils, and I need 8 of them. But I've got no electron tubes, and I've got hardly any redstone again. Oh no. Oh, I can make 27. Well, let's make 10, because no doubt I'll need more. Hop over to my copper building, and let's throw these things onto the grindstone. And there we go. We've got 10 polished rose quartz. Yeah. Look at you all out there because it's night time and you can't get in here now because of my mega torch. Okay, looks like it's 3 copper spools, an andesite alloy, 2 capacitors, brass casing, 2 brass sheets, and an electron tube. And if I press the button, hopefully that's going to give us a Tesla coil. It is, I just need 7 more of them, which I need a bunch more resources. I'm going to be a few minutes. And here we go. This should be the last one. I've gotten pretty good at the recipe now because I've done it 7 times already. But if we do that, we now have 8 Tesla coils, 2 for each layer of the farm. So now that's the complicated stuff out the way, I've just got a ridiculous amount of other things to gather. And aside from the hypertubes, which I've never made before, there is actually one thing that I can't make any of. And I need a lot of it. 1061 tinted glass, and I currently have 0 amethyst. So I guess that must mean it's time for me to go mining. But how many do I need? It's 4 for 2. Do I need 2,000? If I use a cutting board, I'll get 4 for every block. If I use crushing wheels, I'll get 3 and a chance to get another one. Oh, geez. So I'm just going to need absolutely tons of blocks of amethyst. So once again, back at my starter base and heading down the mine where I do all of my tunnel boring, it occurred to me that where I normally do my tunnel boring is not a good place to do it. Because that's right down at the very bottom of the world, and generally speaking, geodes, well, they do appear low down in the world, but never right near the bottom. So I think I'd be better off at one of my original mining spots, where I think I'm more likely to come across geodes because I know there already is one here. If I hop down here and look there, there is the entrance to a geode, or at least there will be if I smash through a couple of these blocks. Now, I'm a little bit concerned, however, that running my tunnel bore through that to gather all of the amethyst quickly is going to make a mess of it. So I think I'm going to take my time to dismantle this amethyst geode, while simultaneously letting my tunnel bore run loose in some random direction from here, and just see if it comes across anything else. Because there's a lot of water in that direction, I'm going to bring it back over here and go in this direction here, and hope for the best. Off you go, sir. You go and dig through that wall for me while I go and destroy a geode. Try not to destroy anything valuable. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. Right, let's go smash a geode to bits. And there we go, I have successfully demolished the entire thing, leaving all of the budding amethyst so it can carry on growing, and now it's time for me to see how my tunnel bore's got on and has it found anything interesting. Is it even still alive? Has it got lost? Is it broken? Who knows? It hasn't gone anywhere. Oh, well, that was a waste of time, wasn't it? You went like 3 blocks. Well, it's a good job I got so much of the stuff. I think this might even be enough. You useless tunnel bore. I don't even know why I bother. Okay then, chopping board. Let's offhand some of these and get to work. And there we go. That is all of my amethyst smashed to bits. And now I have over 3,500, which should be enough. There's only one way to find out. I need 1,060. Let's just craft it. Oh, and there we go. We've got more than enough. Oh, we've still got over 1,000 amethyst left. Amazing. In that case, everything else should be pretty easy, so I'll see you once it's all done. Well, it hasn't taken too long at all to gather pretty much everything I need, apart from a couple of bits. As you can see from here, I'm missing my enchanted netherite sword, as well as some superglue, which I don't actually need, creative motors, which I'm not going to be using, and a whole bunch of waxed copper blocks. And that waxed copper's going to take a while. The reason is that waxed copper is currently processing inside of my copper factory, because what I'm having to do is turn all of the already oxidized waxed copper back into normal copper so that I can then run it through my waxer in order to get the blocks I need. And this has been running for a while, and that's all I've amassed, and I've got a whole bunch in here to go, and I have even more than that to put through it. So that's going to take a while, which gives me time to work on that enchanted sword. Now, it doesn't have to be a netherite sword, it can be a diamond sword. All it needs is a decent set of enchantments to help it kill the creepers very quickly and easily. So that means, once again, I'm going to have to go back to the starter area so that I can play with my villagers. Inside this building here, I have a whole bunch of villagers that are all trained to do wonderful things like giving me sweeping edge and sharpness, and even unbreaking and mending and looting 3. And looking in the chest up here, I've already got a few things I need, such as unbreaking, sweeping edge, and it looks like that's about it. So I better go gather some emeralds. And that's easy enough, because through over the other side of my starter house, we have my barn with even more villagers in it. And these villagers all happen to trade all of the things that were collected in our farms, which we noticed earlier we've got millions of. So I'm going to have a bunch of emeralds in no time. And there we go. After a couple of rounds of trading, I've got plenty of emeralds and a few more one more level. I guess you don't level up quite so quickly when you've already got a bunch of levels. Right, it's shopping time. Okay, I want 1 mending, please. I need 2 looting 2s, if you wouldn't mind. And I'll have a sharpness 5. Thank you very much. Oh, I got emeralds to spare. Now I just need to craft myself a diamond sword. Combine a few books on the anvil. That's gone. Good job I brought a spare. And then I'll just go through sticking all of these books onto the sword willy-nilly, because I really don't mind if it gets too expensive. It'll be fine. I can't afford it. It's too expensive. I need XP. Thank you. There we go. Put all my levels back in there. There we go. And now we have an amazing enchanted sword. It's not netherite, but it doesn't need to be. And that means back at the desert, all I've got to do is wait for all of this copper to come through very slowly. Well, this is taking forever. I've only got 114 wax cut copper left to go, but I've decided, because I'm completely bored of waiting for all that to happen, I am going to go back to my starter base and make this sword netherite, because I've got spares. We need one of these, we need one of these. And when we need to do that, there we go, a netherite sword. Now when I put that in the backpack for the cannon, it will place it and I don't have to. Wonderful. And it looks like we might be there on the cooked copper. Let's chuck it in the waxing machine. And now wait another eternity. I now have everything I need except for yellow paper soul lanterns, which are not yellow paper soul lanterns at all. That's a bug with the supplementaries or the amendments mod, whichever one it is. When I place one of those and stick that in a schematic, it registers as a yellow paper soul lantern, which of course I don't have any of. And if I actually put yellow paper soul lanterns in the backpack, then yeah, it places the yellow paper soul lanterns, which I don't want. So I'll go around and do the lanterns manually. Anyway, let's pick the backpack up, grab the cannon. Now all I got to do is decide exactly where I want this thing, and we know where we want it because we've already placed the mega torches. So let's pop down this backpack here. Let's pop the cannon next to it, and if we put that on there, we need to make sure that the center where the mob farm bit is in the bit that I've done, and it looks like I'm a bit off. Let's try push it over a bit, see if we can't get it somewhere centered-ish. And front and back are almost on. We just need to go a smidge more this way. It's not perfectly aligned because apparently I didn't make this a chunk size, but it's close enough. That looks to me like we're bang in the center of where we want it to be, judging by the corners in this thing. So that means that's exactly where this thing is going to be living. And yes, I've actually raised it up off the water because I do want to be able to build a foundation under this thing and not have it look like it's sinking. So let's stick the schematic into the cannon. Let's grab myself some gunpowder. Let's do one last check of our checklist to make sure that everything is there that we need, and it is. So let's do this. Here we go. It's going. Now this could take a while. And it did. 45 minutes. But it is now complete, and if I look in the backpack, we've got a whole bunch of stuff left, including a bunch of lanterns, more importantly, my sword. It doesn't seem to have deployed that, which is absolutely fine. I do have some lanterns to place around this thing, and I've had no idea what's going on the inside other than I've already greeted with a creeper, which you might be expecting, but I wasn't expecting it down here, but that's probably because I haven't sorted the light levels out in here. Let's just deal with you with this nice shiny sword that I've got. Thank you very much. And perhaps if I turn my brightness down to what Mojang feels is appropriate, then yes, it's very dark in here, so I'm just going to, for now, add some temporary lighting around the corners of this, because don't forget, outside of these bits, nothing can spawn, so it's really only on these corners we're going to have any issues. And then I need to hop upstairs and see what's going on up there. So, up to the first layer, have we got anything in there? We do, we've already got some creepers, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got no power in here at the moment, and none of my Tesla coils appear to have any wires going to them, which is a bit of a problem. Heading up to the next layer, yes, wow, we've got a lot of creepers in there. A lot. That's good, that means this thing does work. Or at least it works in terms of spawning creepers. We've got some more on this layer here. And if we go up to here, we've got even more here. Excellent. Now, what about inside of this? Is this full of creepers? No, because I put lights in and this is glass, so that's good. And I can't go up here because we've got no power here either. And my hypertubes don't appear to be connected at all, which is not ideal either. I guess they don't work very well with the schematic cannon. So I'm going to have to sort all of that out as well. In terms of power, the closest power I have to that is probably going to be the power that's running underneath this copper building. There is also power down over here, I believe, in order to move the sand, but that's further away. So what I'm going to do is dig down under here and then just dig a trench under there and just have some temporary power coming up through the sea floor into there for now. And of course, this means I'm going to be getting a little bit wet. In fact, I'm going to be getting a lot wet very soon, and there's something I can do about that. If I make myself a diving helmet, and even some diving boots, I can now craft myself a copper back tank, stick a gearbox on here and turn that into a vertical one, and then when I stick that under there, that's going to charge up nice and quickly, and that'll give me 15 minutes of air, which I then need to put that on my back, because that's how it works. So I now have no jetpack at all, but at least I'll be able to breathe underwater. Who needs a jetpack underwater anyway? So under the water, I've now laid a squirrely mess of shaft, which is all spinning, and that is going to go up through here in this base. And after a little bit of jiggery-pokery, getting everything wired up, the farm is now working. As you can see, we're getting charged creepers coming up the hypertubes. We do get occasionally some non-charged creepers, and they're dropping down there, getting killed by the sword, and it's all working rather well. In fact, if I hop down these ladders here and have a look in the chest, you'll see that's all still filtering through, and my bottom chest is absolutely full, mainly of gunpowder. My second chest is also getting quite full, which is lovely. I could probably do with a decent storage system here, but before I do that, let's just hop down and see how this works. First of all, we're going to go down the hypertube, which is connected now. That is powered from here, which goes out there, and that power just runs off the back of that fan. If we go down to the next levels, everything's everything's now connected to power, everything's running, and I've got all of the fan speeds and everything's set just right that everything blows perfectly to the middle and then sends all of the creepers off that way. And both of those got charged before they went up. These have spawned very close to the tube, so only one of them has got charged. And we've got a whole bunch here. Are many of you going to get charged before you go up? Come on. There we go. Oh, we got loads on this level. Quite a few of you got charged. And for some reason, the Tesla coils are just not charging them all. But that said, if we stand here and look at the creepers coming through, you can see a bunch of them are charged. And of course, we know we're getting plenty of charged creepers because my chests are absolutely full of charged creeper heads. We've got this many already, which is loads because it's not been running for long. But that means I've still got a bunch of work to do. Not only do I need to sort out a storage system in here as well as a way of actually turning those charged creeper heads into zinc, I also need to terraform underneath this thing, build the drawbridge that I said I was going to build, and I also promised you guys a vault door for the front. So I got busy, starting with the storage system for the charged creeper farm, for which I swapped out the slow hoppers and chests with storage drawers, emptying out the items I'd already collected into the new system, which I then connected to the room below, where I threw together a simple set of crushing wheels to crush the charged creeper heads into zinc nuggets and push them back into the system above. Because I want access to the zinc and the gunpowder from my main storage, I threw some ender chests into the new storage system to drain the items out and pass them over to the main storage where I can store them in bulk. After finishing the storage system, I moved on to the foundation using the tough bricks and polished tuff that I'd mined out from a trial chamber a while back, creating a path around the creeper farm structure and added in supports that went down to the seabed. I had considered building a small island under the farm instead of supports, but it felt more intentional doing it this way. I then added some upside down stairs at the top of the supports to make them feel a little more substantial, but because it felt like something was lacking, I added in another support under the centre of the farm before adding some basic andesite railing around the edge of the new platform. With that done, it was time to tackle the drawbridge. I did have a basic idea of what I wanted this to look like as I started, but I wasn't really sure how intricate or detailed it would be. After smashing down the fence to the workyard, I continued the tarmac path across the stretch of water to the creeper farm and added in some iron blocks to signify where the bridge would tilt from. I then threw a bunch of angled girders and shafts along each side and filled in the underside of the tarmac with polished tough slabs. With that done, I used even more girders and shafts to add some detail on the top side of the bridge, glued it all together and tested that it would actually work using mechanical bearings and valves. With it successfully working, I then connected it to my power system with a couple of sequential gear shifts to control the motion and connected it to buttons with redstone links so I could activate it from either end of the bridge. And so, with the drawbridge done, it was time for the vault door. For this, however, I had no idea what I was going to do. So I decided to throw in some horizontal shafts, with the idea being that these would pull to the sides with mechanical pistons and I'd have a large copper door behind them that would open at the same time. This, however, caused quite a few headaches, as mechanical pistons don't like travelling through other blocks and they need a lot of space for their extension poles. So I built the mechanisms under the building in the water and fiddled with some more sequential gear shifts until the shafts moved back at a nice slow speed. Almost all of the way back to the edges of the door, but not quite. But it was good enough for me. So then I built the copper door, added a mechanical bearing and another sequential gear shift to control that, but that needed speed control to time it with the shaft so everything opened at the same time. But how would I open this door? A locked door needs a key, so I placed a placard with an item in on the front of the door, which, when interacted with the same item, gives a redstone signal that I use to then trigger the doors from the outside. And there we go! All of the things I said I wanted to build were built. And I even did something else. And that something else hides behind this locked door. But before we get to that, let's check all of this out and see how it works. If I press the button here, you can see the drawbridge goes up on both sides and it looks absolutely amazing. I had to make it go really slowly so it didn't just flip up and flip down as it travels, and I really like the action that it's got. So if I press the button again, I can run along this and hopefully just about meet it as it's going and jump over to the other side. It's amazing. And of course, yes, I've got a button here as well, so I can open it and close it from both sides. And it works brilliantly. Now, on the other side of the drawbridge is the vault door, which I can't get into unless I have a charged creeper head in my pocket. Which I just happen to have a charged creeper head in my pocket. So when I click this, the shafts will very slowly start pulling back, the copper door will start opening, and eventually there'll be enough room for me to squeeze through. and I really like it. Again, I've gone for really, really slow to make it seem sort of intimidating and intentional. And the mechanisms for this were an absolute nightmare because the mechanical pistons controlling everything can't go back far enough because of the blocks, which meant I actually had to sort of dig out the sides of this building a little bit in order to squeeze them in another block, which means they don't fully come back, but they almost do. It's almost perfect, but not quite. But nobody's perfect, mate. Leave me alone. You could just don't even start. It works fine. Took me ages and it works fine. Anyway, I can close this from inside as well with another button there. That all closes and the shafts go across as well, meaning I'm trapped unless I press the button again. But anyway, what's that other thing I've done? Well, to show you that, I need to make my way all the way to the top of the creeper farm, where you're going to be all excited over nothing, really. Yeah, it's not particularly exciting at all. So in here, as you saw before, we had a hypertube, but the hypertube has now moved from there to there. Yep, that's what I did. But I didn't just move that one, I had to add in some more so that I can get to all of the different levels, because of course I need to be able to get to these crushing wheels here, and then I need to be able to get to the next level. And if I had the hypertubes along the center, then when I stood on one to try and go up the other and I sneak to go up it, I end up getting sucked down, meaning I can never get back up again. So I've had to offset them. So now when I go up this one, I end up in here at my storage system. And as you can see, there's not very much in here at all because it's all being sent through to my storage system. And then, yeah, to get to the next bit, I got to go up the ladder because there was no room for another hypertube. But there we go. And it's still working and we're still collecting plenty of stuff. But how much stuff have we collected? While I've been working in this area, it will have been running. Not much because I wasn't in the optimal position for it, and while I was over here doing things like the drawbridge, I will have been loading other areas where mobs could spawn. But hopefully I've got a few bits. Let's go into my storage system and find out. So all of the zinc now comes through into this storage box and I've got a whole 129, which is not much considering I've now got nearly 7,000 gunpowder. So it's a very, very good gunpowder farm and it's an okay zinc farm. And on that note, it's time to end. Before I say goodbye, however, I do have something rather important to say. I have run out of time for this series. I'm going on holiday in a few days and I was hoping to squeeze out a couple more episodes before I go, because when I get back from my holiday, there's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff going on, which means I've got no more time to spend making videos in this world. Now, I'd really like if I get some time to at least finish the train track and create a loop that goes all the way back to the original base. And of course, there are other areas of this world that I really want to build in. As we head away from my base and over towards this area, there's an absolutely incredible mesa valley which I showcased right at the beginning of this series, which I had plans to bring my train line across here and zigzag through this valley over bridges and all sorts of really interesting and crazy looking stuff. I also wanted to build a whole bunch of farms and buildings and structures and things over here as well, but the main reason I wanted to come was absolutely 100% for the train line to go through this epic valley past that weird looking pickaxe. Once the train line had been through the valley, the idea was that it would come around this hill here and then just end up going back over in this direction to meet up with my original starter base, completing the loop. That was the only things that I had planned for this world. Beyond that, there wasn't much else, so realistically it would have only been 3 or 4 more episodes before it was wrapped up anyway, and the reason I didn't get a chance to finish it is because my time management is awful, and recently I've had a few days where I've not been feeling particularly well. So sadly, this is it. This is the very last episode, and I hope you've all very much enjoyed this series. I will be releasing a world download for my patrons and YouTube channel members, and eventually at some point in the future that will be available to everyone else as well. But for now, I just want to say thank you all very much for watching this series. I've had an absolutely incredible time playing it. And I have to say that building in this desert area and building this big old Command & Conquer inspired base has probably been the most fun I've had in single-player Minecraft in a very long time. I've been truly inspired and enjoyed every second designing every single one of these buildings and putting it all together. So I am quite sad that it's all finished. Goodbye.